Corey Ten Boom once said that if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. There's truth in that. Both sin and busyness have the same exact effect. They cut off your connection to God, to other people, and even to your own soul.
Welcome to the Steward Lab Podcast with our parents, James and Amberlee Rich. Join Mom and Dad as they explore how to be good stewards with your time, money, relationships, health, careers, and even your kids, like us. It's all about growing God's kingdom. Come on, let's experiment.
Hello, everybody. I am James Rich, and this is my lovely wife,
Amberlee Rich.
And we want to welcome you to the Steward Lab Podcast. Today on our show, we're going to be talking about decluttering your calendar. And as we're thinking about calendars, we know that the end of the year is coming up very quickly.
It is. And when it comes to the end of the year, a lot of us are wanting to end it strong. And a lot of times we have all these goals that we started, maybe at the beginning of this past year, and we're not actually living into that. And so if you are feeling like you're not where you want to be financially, like spiritually, just in life, you're just feeling like, man, this year just has flown by and I feel like I haven't been intentional with it, we would love to invite you into our Steward Lab program. We have people in there that are really getting momentum. They're reaching their financial goals. They're have community where they can have people that are pouring into them. We just had a Ask a Coach call the other day, and it was fabulous. Like, we had people in there that were just feeling like money is tight and they don't know what to do to really continue doing what God is calling them to do. And I think so many people are in that situation. We just go and answer real questions from real people, and you get support along the way.
Yeah, we had another person that was asking about the mechanics of putting together their budget and making it work and systematizing it. And I nerd out on that kind of stuff I love to do. And so if you're wanting a little extra support this season with your finances and want to start the next year strong, join the Steward Lab program. You can do that by going to stewardlab.com.
Yeah. Absolutely. So today we are going to be talking all about decluttering your calendar. And I think so many of us feel like our calendars are just overwhelming. We look at it and we're like, ugh, there's so much on it. And I know I've had that in the past, and I still deal with that today. But one of the things I did a little while back is I actually did an audit of my time, because I just felt like I didn't know where my time was going. Like, it's on the calendar, but there's so much things that I do that are not on the calendar. Like, if you're a mom, a parent, like you're cooking the meals, that's not on the calendar. You're driving your kids to, all these different places. Like, there's so much that is not on the calendar that I just felt like I don't really know how much time I'm doing homeschooling my kids, how much time it's taking me to do my do my work, all the things. And so I took a week, and it was hard choosing a week, because I think I was kind of perfectionistic in that I'm like, I just need to get the perfect week to try to get a good baseline. But I don't think there's ever a really perfect week. Every week is going to be a little bit different. But it was really helpful for me to just write down what I'm doing through every single day. And I tried to live my life normally. It's kind of like, if you imagine that you're being, recorded during your life for a week, you're probably going to live differently, because you know that there's someone watching you. And I felt like there was that kind of pressure, even though it was self-inflicted.
It's like when you're on a diet and your doctor says, I want you to make a journal of all the things that you eat. You begin to eat a little bit differently.
Exactly. And so it was really helpful for me to write down what I'm really spending my time on. And it helped me to recognize there were some things in homeschooling that was taking so long, and it was just overkill.
Mm.
And then I also realized that there were some things that I felt like that took so long. Like, I'm not a huge fan of washing dishes, and I hand wash like the pots and pans and like certain knives and that kind of thing. And to me, it feels like it takes forever to do it. But when I actually started timing it, I realized, wow, I am making this feel a lot longer than it actually is. This task is not as big and daunting as I make it feel. And so I just had a dose of reality that some things are just not even close to what I feel like, because I think in our minds some things like that we can do are super fun and enjoyable, and it seems like time just stands still.
Yeah, you found yourself dreading for 30 minutes what takes 3 minutes to accomplish.
Yeah, and so it just was really eye-opening for me to recognize where my time is going. And so if you want to I read and hear more about that experience for me, I have a blog post all about my time audit, and we're going to add that to the show notes. So feel free to go and look at that and get some ideas of just some of the big aha moments that I had. And it really has changed the way I live moving forward. And it has given me more clarity. And I think it's something that we should do on a semi-regular basis, especially if you feel like
Mhm.
something is off in
Yeah.
your calendar.
So the name of that blog post, and this is at richlivingcoaching.com, is Discovering Where Your Time Really Goes, a personal time audit experiment.
Yeah. So today in the Steward Lab podcast, we're talking all about decluttering your calendar, because too often we are overscheduled, which makes it hard for us to steward the resources and the time that God has given us well and effectively.
Yeah. I see our calendar as the budget for our time, the budget for our clock. We're financial coaches for those of you that know that. And so we work on budgets a lot. And you look at your calendar and you can really say that that is the budget of your time.
Mhm. It really is, and it gives you an idea of what you really value, what's important to you, it really does show what matters. So, like, your budget and the way you spend money shows what you value, and your time,
Mhm.
looking at your calendar, does the same thing. And looking at those in tandem is really important, because there are some things that are out of alignment, and a lot of times we don't even realize it because it's like, "Well, this is a good thing,"
Yeah.
but it might not be the best thing.
And I think having the mechanics of an actual budget, like a guideline of what you're going to spend money on, it helps you not waste that money. And I think it's the same with your calendar as you begin to track what you're doing, where you're going. Time doesn't just fly away.
Yeah.
When you know that I've got to be at this certain place at this certain time, you're not going to sit down and just waste time because you've got to make sure you get there. And so
Mhm.
I do believe that it's important to have this budgeting tool called a calendar for your time, because otherwise
Mhm.
you're just going to end up wasting a lot of what you've been given.
Yeah, and I think one thing that is really neat about the calendar versus the budget in finances is that a calendar, all of us have 24 hours in a day. We all have 7 days a week. When it comes to finances, we all have varied amounts of what is coming in and what is going out, but all of us get the same we're on the same playing field when it comes to our calendar.
Mhm.
And so we're not gonna be able to get extra hours in the day. We're not going like, we have physical limitations in this, and I think we have to recognize that we can't double book or triple book ourselves. Like, it just does not work.
Yeah. So sometimes when you're talking budget wise for money, if you don't have enough resources to do what you want to do, then you just try to make more income. You
Mhm.
can't do that with time. Like
You can't, yeah.
you've got 24 hours, and it's really how you interact with that 24 hours depends on how you feel about that afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go over three main points about some of the things we see that people are really like believing about time management that really isn't true. And I think this is stuff that culturally we're being fed. And the first one is that busy is a badge of honor. And I've noticed even in little kid books, if you start paying attention to reading to your children, how often they use the word busy as a positive adjective. Like, it's describing like, oh, they're in this busy world, they're doing this and they're all busy, and this is good. And it's being fed to us at a very, very young age.
I find myself when somebody responds with, I say, how have you been? They said, "Oh, I'm so busy." I typically respond with good busy or bad busy. And sometimes it they're startled by the question, like, what do you mean good busy or bad busy? And I think there is a good busy and there is a bad busy. And I
Mhm.
think we focus a lot of our time on the bad busy. It's
Yeah.
just that those things that allow you to feel productive, but you're not actually really moving the needle in anything.
Yeah, and I think some people, like, believe that busyness equals productivity, and I think for me personally, I have outlawed the word busy. I'm using it for this podcast because it's helpful to actually explain it, but I don't use the word busy for my life because busy just means it's kind of like being on a treadmill in life. You're just
Mhm.
going through the motions and you're getting nowhere. And you're doing it more because you feel like you are needing to, not because it's actually making impact. And so, paying attention to our language, I think, really matters. And so, even outlawing it, even trying to like think about every time you say busy this week and just recognize it. Like, is this what I'm actually calling my life? Is that the biggest thing to describe my life circumstances that I'm busy?
Busy doesn't make you happier. There's
No.
a survey. Let's see. It says in 2018, Pew Research surveyed, and it revealed that 6 in 10 adults in the U.S. feel too busy to enjoy life.
Yeah, that's huge. Like, too busy to enjoy life. That is crazy. I mean, there's so many statistics about busyness. Like, here's another one. This survey, this is from the New York Post. 88% of Americans experience symptoms of fatigue regularly. Like, we're exhausted. And I think, especially when you think of parents who have young kids and really kids of any age, we are running ourselves ragged.
Running our kids ragged
Yeah.
too. Another set of research shows that the average parent is spending 12 weeks of admin and scheduling their children's activities every year.
Yeah, that's
I don't know how that's possible, but that's crazy. I've talked to a lot of teens that their parents have put them in so many things, and they're just like, oh, what I wouldn't give just to be at home and just have a day where I can relax.
Yeah, and have, like, free play. Like, the childhood that our kids are having, well, most of our kids, is nothing like what we had growing up.
Mhm.
And they're like guinea pigs on this experiment of what it's going to look like for them. And we're seeing already, like, 1 in 5 adolescents are reporting symptoms of anxiety and depression.
Mhm.
Like, that's not okay, and I think a lot of that is based off of being so overscheduled, feeling like they have to do every single thing. They
Mhm.
don't have downtime, they don't have free time, they don't have the opportunity to even be bored, and boredom's not even a word they even like, we're just so against it. We've got smartphones, we just, hand someone a tablet and, like, the kid a tablet and just, like, they never get to experience that creativity that comes when you actually have mental free space.
Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about in terms of we only have 24 hours in a day. Anytime there's that opportunity cost, we've talked about that in the past. Anytime you fill up those hours with something, there's things that have to drop off. And a very disturbing statistic is that families on average spend 37 minutes of quality time together on weekdays. And so what we've given up is this ability to spend quality time with our families. And
Mhm.
so every time you add something to the calendar, you're taking something away whether you realize it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and even thinking about, like, families who eat together, like, there's so many statistics showing that, families that eat together, they're gonna have the kids do better academically, they're less likely to have children at a very, like, unplanned pregnancies,
Mhm.
do drugs, alcohol, all those things, and we look at it and on average, American families are eating 4 meals together a week, and that, like, includes breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
4 times of that, that's not much.
A little more than a day's worth of meals they're eating together in a
Mhm.
7-day period.
So we're just all living separate, busy lives, and it really does impact the way that we do life. And it's just I think there's so much on the parents of feeling like we need to give our kids this amazing childhood. We don't want like everyone else is doing all this stuff, so we feel like, well, our kids need to be in all the things. And if we don't do that, they're going to be missing out. They're
Mhm.
not going to have as good of an education. They're not going to have as many choices in the future. But I think we're robbing our kids of just life and joy and like, this is a season of their life where they don't have to do everything. Like, as an adult, we have a lot more on our plates, and if we're just adding so much to our kids' plates, they never really get to have a normal childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, there's gonna be plenty of time later in life to take on the anxiety of life. And with the stat you shared earlier about how many kids have anxiety now, I do think that has a lot to do with all the responsibility that has been put on them in terms of being at practice, doing this, doing that, making sure that
Mhm.
you have all of your schoolwork done before you spend the next 3 hours after school working on extracurricular activities and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And this isn't to say that, those outside things are wrong. Those outside things are bad, but making sure that there's this balance to where your kid is still living life as well as having activities outside.
Yeah. And here's another stat of just how much scheduling goes into all of these different extracurriculars. So the average American has 1,244 tasks relating to scheduling, extracurricular activities, and general life admin that parents are completing every year. That's so many tasks. Like, we are putting so much on our plate by putting more on our kids' plate.
Mm.
And I really do love this quote by John Mark Comer, and it's about Corey Ten Boom. This is what he said. Corey Ten Boom once said that if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. There's truth in that. Both sin and busyness have the same exact effect. They cut off your connection to God, to other people, and even to your own soul. That is just piercing of sin and busyness have the same exact effect.
Mm.
I know that when we're running late and when we feel like there's so much going on, I am not at my best. I'm short with my kids, I'm short with you. I'm rushed. I'm probably not as good of a driver. Like, all of these things do not turn out well.
Mm.
And so I think recognizing that when we are living our lives as this busyness, we are robbing ourselves of this connection to other people, to God, and even our own soul.
Even in the middle of this episode, I want you to ask yourself, do you feel like your life is too busy?
Mhm.
Do you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, always running to the next thing?
Yeah.
And that brings us to the next point.
Yeah. So the next one is, do we have margin? Are we interruptible?
Mhm.
So many of us do not have any breathing room in our schedule. And I think about this when it comes to money. Like, you want to live below your means. That means you're not spending every single penny that you get. Like, you have room for when something unexpected comes up. You have room to be generous when something comes up. You have ability to have flexibility. And I think many of us are not in that place when it comes to our calendar.
Yeah, margin is really where all the life happens. I don't know. I'm picturing you're working on taking notes for a class, and for me, I would doodle when I was taking notes, and doing that little fun doodle on the side would actually help me connect with what's going on in life, and not having those margins, I wouldn't be able to do that. I think it's the same with our time. Is when we don't have the margins of extra time, we don't get the downtime to reflect on all of these activities that we've experienced and enjoy them. It's just we've done one thing, now it's done, we go to the next thing, and we don't get to savor life without having those margins. And I think the
Mhm.
same thing is true. I mean, you look at Jesus, he was interruptible.
Mhm.
His ministry happened in the margins.
Mhm.
It wasn't just, of course, he had ministry when he was in the synagogue. Maybe he was telling a story and that sort of thing. But most of the time, it was in the margins, walking from one place to another, doing life. He had the margin of time so that he could do ministry alongside of others. And I think we miss the opportunity to do ministry because we don't have enough time.
Yeah, and I think about the parable of the Good Samaritan. Of the Good Samaritan was interruptible. He was willing to pay attention to what was around him and take time out to help someone else. And the other people that saw, this man that was robbed and beaten, they had jobs to do, and they just kept on going, doing their work. And I think we often miss things because we're so busy. And
Mhm.
I think also even just so connected to our phone, like how often are we in line at the grocery store or at the DMV and we're scrolling on our phone instead of putting it away and having a conversation with the person standing in front of us?
Yeah.
Like we could be missing on these amazing opportunities to hear God's voice, to go and do what he says, to have a conversation with the cashier. Like there's so many little moments. And I think about, the great commission of like go and make disciples of all nations. And if you look at the original text, it really is as you are going. Like it is great to go, but as we're going through life, what if we actually were able to have that interruption, that margin to be able to disciple people along the way? It's not like you pre-planned, "Oh, I'm gonna be meeting with this person because I'm discipling them every Tuesday," which I think is great to actually make it into your calendar, but we also need to have it in areas where it's not in our calendar. It's just happening, and it's a natural part of our life.
Yeah. I'm thinking of this a couple weeks ago. I had to return something from Amazon, and there's a return center in Kohl's just down the road from us. And I went in there, and I had a lot on my plate that day. I had a lot of things I had to get to, and I thought I could just fit this in. I walked in there, and the line was like 30 people deep, and I stood there for a while, just trying to analyze how long this is going to take, how quickly the line's going to go. And looking at my watch, I'm like, I cannot stand here this whole time. So I decided to get out of line. I walked out, and as I was leaving, a friend from church, Cora, was coming in with a package to return as well. And so we chatted just a little bit, and I said, if you have anything on your calendar today, you probably won't be able to stand in that line. It's really long. And she says, you know what? I don't have anything on my calendar. In fact, let me take your package and your little QR code, and I'll return it for you. I just see this as an opportunity to stand there and talk to somebody in line and maybe even get to pray for them. And that's unheard of nowadays. Is like, oh,
Mm,
there's going to be a inconvenience of waiting. Well,
mhm.
what's the positive things of waiting? What are the things that can come out of not having anything to do that day?
Yeah.
That's where you're doing ministry in the margins,
Mhm.
and that really struck me. And one, I didn't have to stand in line, and I was appreciative of that because I had to get somewhere, and then I didn't have to come back and do it. So thank you, Cora, for returning that for me. But also thank you, Cora, for like teaching me that those opportunities to stand in line are not really opportunities for us to be scrolling through Facebook and ignoring the people around us, but interacting with
Mhm.
humankind, the people in front and behind us.
Yeah, and I think it's important to think about the pace that we're living
Mhm.
because your calendar can be look one way, but the pace that you're living in, encountering it, that's your own personal attitude. And I think so often our pace is pretty frantic. It's like we're on this sprint, which you can't sprint for very long. It's exhausting. And
Mhm.
so recognizing our pace and thinking about the way that Jesus lived, his pace was so relaxed. He never felt like, at least when I read, the Bible, I don't see him as one that's like rushing to one place to the next. Like
Mhm.
he was just slow, steady, and interruptible. And we're supposed to be like Jesus.
Yeah,
Eh,
most of his stories, I mean, you think about it, he's walking by a field and he's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to tell you a story about what's going on here. This farmer over here putting seed on the field. It was
mhm.
about taking what was happening around you and interweaving that into the story of your life."
Yeah, and I think if we wanna be participating in kingdom work, we need to have bandwidth. We need to have margin. So being constantly busy is going to really impact that.
Mhm.
And being interruptible is so important. I mean, Jesus was interrupted so many times.
Yeah,
Like that was his MO.
yeah.
Yeah, and I just love this verse from Matthew 11, and this is from the Message, and this is one that my favorite parts in the Message when you look at that version. And so it's beautifully written. Eugene Peterson just, I feel like, nailed this one. And I think this is what every American family needs to hear. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I just love that. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. I
That's
think
good.
so often we are putting pressure and expectations on ourselves that are from us, that are not what Jesus wants for us.
They're ill-fitting.
They are ill fitting, and we are not feeling free or light.
Mhm.
We're casting burdens on ourselves, and we're carrying a weight that we don't need to carry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that brings us to our last point, which is focusing on the best yes. We talked about this, I think, in the last or maybe the one before the episode.
Mhm.
And it's such a great freeing way to think about it because when we are um, the type of people that have a hard time saying no, we forget that we're saying no to like 14 different things every time we say yes. We've already talked about opportunity costs and how we only have so many things that we can and can't do. And it's not
Mhm.
about saying no to the right things, it's about saying yes to the right things.
Yeah.
And if we focus on what are the things that we should and mostly what are the things that we should do, that naturally starts filtering out the things that we shouldn't do because we only have so much time in life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. And the first time I really heard much about the best yes is that's actually a book title by Lisa Turkhurst. And I did a Bible study, probably like 10 years ago, maybe, based off of it. And it was just really eye opening of how often am I saying yes to things that are good, but are they actually the best option?
Mm.
And she has this quote, and I love it. I'm actually going to read it twice because I feel like it takes a little bit to have it sink in. So, this is what Lisa Turkhurst says. Remember, the decisions you make determine the schedule you keep. The schedule you keep determines the life you live, and how you live your life determines how you spend your soul. I'll read it one more time. Remember, the decisions you make determine the schedule you keep. The schedule you keep determines the life you live, and how you live your life determines how you spend your soul.
So the correct yes is really soul work.
Yeah, it really is. And I think so often we think of like just saying yes to one thing doesn't really have that much impact.
Mhm.
But then if you start looking at when you say yes to this, then, it determines the life that you live. And that life you live determines what you do with your soul. Like those are really big, important questions to really ponder and not have a quick yes to everything that's asked of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that time of the episode where we jump into the experiment.
Yes. So you can probably guess that an experiment is for you to spend some time reflecting on your calendar and taking a look at your calendar. Maybe you have a paper calendar, maybe you have it digitally, maybe it's on Apple or Google or something like that. Take some time to just look at the calendar and not just look at it, but recognize what feelings stir up in you when you look at it. Do you feel anxious when you see your calendar? You're like, oh, there's so much on it. Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel stressed out? If you're feeling those feelings, I'm guessing the other people in your family are feeling that too.
Mhm.
And doing this even as a family, like asking your spouse, asking your kids, what do you feel like when you see our calendar? Do you feel like we have too much? Do you feel like we don't have enough?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like we're in a good spot?
Yeah. That's
So
good.
yeah, so go look at your schedule and recognize, like, are there events, are there commitments that you are saying yes to that really should not be on your calendar? What can you do to let go of some of those things? And we're gearing up to a season where there's more things added to our calendar. And so if you can get this foundation before the holidays hit, it's going to be so much easier.
Yeah. It makes me think of Bob Goff. I think it was every Thursday. He started instituting this No Thursday. Is that
Well, he quit something
Yeah, he
Thursday.
quit something. So he said no to something. So every Thursday he would be like, "Okay, what am I going to quit?" And he would stop doing that thing.
And once even quit his job.
Yeah, and it was all because he was finding that he was overwhelmed by everything that he had on his calendar, and he needed to pare it down. And so maybe also as a bonus, take a Thursday and quit something. Quit
Yeah.
something. And another bonus, if you really want to get into this, Amberly talked about that time audit that she did. Go and read that article that we have on richlivingcoaching.com, and jump in and do a time audit. Spend 2-3 days, maybe even a full week, and just audit your time and see where are the margins, if any, and how much more margin do you need in your life.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it helps you to recognize, especially if you're wanting to spend more time praying, more time reading the Bible, and seeing how much time are you spending on prayer and reading the Bible versus watching TV versus, doing all these other tasks. It's really eye-opening to see that, wow, my priorities are maybe off.
Yeah. And so, this being the Steward Lab podcast, all about stewardship, I want you to start thinking that every minute that we've been given has been given to us by God. And
Mhm.
we are to steward all the things that we have, and that includes time, and
Yeah.
steward it well.
Yeah, and that our calendar is a reflection of our life. And Dallas Willard said, and this is just a pretty fantastic quote, and it's intense, that he says, "Hurry is the great enemy of the spiritual life in our day. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life." And spoiler, if you want to know, one of my favorite books is called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, based off of this quote. It's by John Mark Comer. And it is a great book if you're really wanting to dive in and to recognize, like, if you are living in a constant state of hurry, or even if hurry is even something that you're struggling with, which I think pretty much every American can say, that's me. Yes, that's me. It's a great book to just really start to put yourself in a place where you're not in a hurried life, and what that will do, not just for your time but also for your soul.
So that does it for the Steward Lab podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Your experiment starts now. Go make impact with what God's given you.